Thank you. Gosh, you know, this is the first time I've stood in front of people for a political cause, and I have Dwayne at STCU to thank because he emailed me something about sending our representatives a message about asking for support on banking for credit unions. And we sent out a bunch of information. Actually, a lot of people signed up and contacted their congressmen, representatives, and I think some real positive changes happened for them. So here I am. Thank you, Luella. And it's a humbling experience to be here. I'm here to talk about a viewpoint, and I had to think long and hard about this. In my past life, I did some international traveling, and I remember I was in a classroom in communist China, and a fellow came up to me and asked me something very special and near and dear to my heart. He said, "What is the American dream?" You know, he had heard of it but didn't understand it, and I spent the next 2 weeks trying to explain that to him. It just didn't go anywhere. Anyways, I wanted to talk about this. This nation of ours is unique. In America's short existence, we have progressed from a small collection of European rebels to become the economic and technological dominant nation we are today. Mixed up in the ideas and reputation of America is a celebrated ideal called the American dream. The idea is we have complete independence and self-reliance mixed with the opportunity to attain wealth through one's labors. Nowhere else does this exist. This concept is purely American. Most of us take our freedom for granted. The freedom we have has been fought for by our families over many generations, taking place throughout the world even now. Again, our soldiers are in harm's way, fighting to ensure our very freedoms right now. And the fact that we're in this park, I wanted to bring that to light. If I had a pair of boots, I'd put them right here. The fabric of our American dream is based on the fact we all have a social contract that we follow. The idea behind our social contract is based on the fact government was created by the people and that people gave up absolute freedom in exchange for safety against problems. We call this consent of the governed. This consent is given by what is referred to as our social contract, and it's a round loop. The idea of giving special interest money that will force our grandchildren to pay is to me offensive, and many of us here. The idea of giving billions of US dollars to special interests like AIG is offensive. Our tax dollars used as bonuses to reward the very people that have helped to challenge our great nation is wrong. I fear that we may place such a large tax burden on our future that we might snuff out the flame of hope that drives our great nation with the fuel of the American dream. We may complain about the economy, but just try to explain Costco to an Iranian, to a Cuban, or a Somali pirate. We need to fix our attention on what is needed now to ensure our future. Washington State has 55% reported. 55% of the businesses is driven by family-owned businesses. All right, we see a heavy burden placed on the idea of minimum wage, $8.55 an hour. This wage discourages small businesses like mine from hiring high school and college students. It is difficult to pay an adult wage while the student gains work experience, learns to interact in a work environment, and build the skills needed to help the business. Our high-cost minimum wage was intended to bolster hard-working adults and to ensure a wage to live on, not to stop students from getting an entry-level job and reduce operating reserves of small businesses. We do need to address issues with our government to try and solve our economic crisis we need to buy domestic when we can and stimulate our domestic economy. So get involved with your local community, and I hope to see everybody around getting involved. Thank you very much.
Now then, Beverly Shaw will set the scene and Ed Wade gives first-hand report what happened in Boston Harbor that night in 1773. Yeah, 1773. Thank you, Lorella.
At the end of the French and Indian War in 1763, King George III of England and his government decided to tax the American colonies to siphon more money into England's treasury. The colonists endured the Stamp Act, the Townshend Act, the Boston Massacre in 1770, but the tea tax in 1773 was the last straw. This final insult by England eventually led to the American Revolution. A crowd packed into the Old South Meeting House to hear Samuel Adams denounce the governor for denying clearance for ships wishing to leave with tea still on board. The people then headed for the waterfront, and here's what happened.
My name's George Hughes. Me and my mates, we went down to the docks, down to Griffin's Wharf. There were 3 ships tied up down there. We stuck a feather in our cap, and we painted our faces with coal dust so they wouldn't actually recognize us. And then we decided, well, the group that I was with, there were 3 groups that each got on one of the ships. The group I was with, they put me in charge. They said, you go talk to the captain. So I go over to the captain. I think all those guys were down in the bilge, the Brits were, because we didn't see one. So I went down, talked to the captain. I says, Captain, I want the keys to the hatches and I want a dozen candles. I thought I did pretty good making my voice as loud as I did. And the captain says, I could see he was shaking. He says, here's the keys, and there's the candles, but don't damage the ship. So I turned around and walked out. We went over and opened up the hatches and took out the tea. We had tomahawks with us, and we smashed open the crates and tossed them overboard. The next morning, we came out. We could see some of the tea floating around in our cases, so we hopped in our rowboats and rowed out and smashed them up and made them sink. And that's what we did. Then we went home and took a nap.